Welcome to Game Theater. We're going to be doing our sort of debrief of Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. So here we have Christian.
Hello.
And I'm Andrew, and we're going to be hosting this debrief, and these are our players, Rob and Jess. So we're going to be talking about the game that they played.
Yeah. Brother: A Tale of Two Sons.
So what tools or devices does the game use to tell or progress its story?
So this game was really linear. It didn't allow for you really to vary off course. At least I found that. We were pretty set on where we had to go. It could have taken a lot longer to finish. We could have done a lot more side quests.
Oh! Whoa! Whoa, what?
Did you turn the white one back? Turn the white one back! Oh, that's a really bad sentence out of context.
She's got an achievement called Bunny Buddies.
Look at their friends now!
Yeah?
That's adorable.
Now what?
Oh, okay, so that was probably not part of the main story.
Well, we made the bunny happy.
Yeah.
It wasn't a necessary part of the game, but it was really nice kind of like showing into the world, like even though like we're on this really screwed up dark adventure, there's a bunch of other really dark things happening to other people, so it really kind of added to, I thought, the kind of feel of what this game is going to be.
But the problem I found with, like, although the side quests were a device it used to tell the story, a lot of the story was missing.
Seeing, like, all the trolls and the ogres and this some kind of, like, slave hierarchy thing, I really would have liked to known a lot more about that.
I feel like we're missing some story here, though.
Well, you see, that's my problem. Like, there's no text, so I have to interpret everything.
Even more critical plot points.
Yeah.
Like, why was the dad dying of Disney disease?
Oh, no, Dad.
Ew.
He's got the Disney sickness.
Except for, Disney doesn't show puking either.
Well, they're not showing it. They're just showing
not.
the action in the bucket.
There's no actual blood or guts.
Also, just look how black that rug is.
He's so, like, pale. Aww. This just got really sad.
Look at the stars. They're so pretty.
We have to get the water. That was very film directory.
Would you two mind discussing character development and how you feel that was achieved throughout the game?
Playing the younger brother was really interesting, because especially when we were playing co-op this entire time,
Yeah.
and like we're both going through this together as brothers, it was really interesting. But then at the ending, when the brother is dead and I have to go through everything by myself, it really, I felt, amplified the coming-of-age story that this game was really all about. And then, like, seeing the transition from going into this little naive kid to being, now has to be an adult in this kind of really dark, disturbing world where he has to go back all the way by himself and bury his brother.
This was the beginning part where, pull both. Because your brother's with you. Yeah, there you go.
Damn, this is smart gameplay.
So, he's pressing both triggers and playing like he's both of us.
No, it's not even both triggers. It's only this one.
Oh, it's only the
Only
Big
the Big
Brothers.
Brothers.
Yeah, only the Big Brothers.
That's kind of sad.
This is really smart.
I can see how you could get away with both of you playing
Okay, so you're
still.
like, press it normally. Nothing.
Press it with your Big Brother's spirit inside. Go.
Parkour. Parkour.
Man, this just, like, makes me... You don't have to do that. You just
right.
go in.
You're home.
Makes me realize that I was unnecessary for the entire game.
What do you think about the use of a not a real language to help drive the story?
I loved it. I thought it was...
Well, using gibberish in a video game is a really smart choice by the game developers. It makes the game universal, right? Like, if this game was in Swedish, for example, we would still have the same experience because we wouldn't know what was being said, but I feel like people who understood that language would understand way more story, right?
Yeah.
And part of the mystery and kind of confusion of this game was we had no idea why we were doing anything, and the gibberish helped that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like watching like a mime or clown gibberish piece, where I kind of have to like look at how they're waving their arms about, like a map.
So speaking of the world of the game, like you say, it drew you in, it had to pay more attention.
Yeah.
What sort of feel did you get from the atmosphere the game created, and how would you describe this world that they engaged you in?
It's such a confusing game when you talk about the world of the play, because it changes, it evolves as you explore the world, as you go on further in the game. It originally started for me as like this really high fantasy world that was very real, and then we met 4chan.
4chan, the first role, and Instagram.
Everything grew to high fantasy, sort of Lord of the Rings-esque, right?
Yeah, very Tolkien.
And then you hit the haunted forest with the dead children and the suicide, and it gets a little horror. And then by the time you get to the giant battlefield where there was tons of blood everywhere and it was super gory, the game had just devolved from this really high fantasy reeling into
Almost like
it's
a
much
child's nightmare.
Yeah, it's much darker fantasy.
A much darker story and a much darker world and a more real world, probably.
Yeah.
I don't want to do things like this.
That axe handle is just a tree.
There it goes. Oh!
Oh yeah. See, I can empathize with the gagging sound effect there.
Don't think about it, just go. Just keep going. Oh, God. This game is so visceral.
And it wasn't! What is with this giant change? Giant change.
Hold on. We need to admire the bench.
See, who put a bench here? That was our size.
Look at that. There's like, training.
Yeah, look, people.
Yeah, there's people. Alright.
Look at the animation, so
I think
pretty.
we're not going to another boss fight.
Oh, no, I'm too sad right now.
Yeah.
But what if they make us
Looks
cut
like we
it
need
off?
to chop off an arm, too.
Oh, stop.
Oh, this way.
Oh, okay.
This is all the heavy influence of Josef Fares, who
The film director
the
guy?
film director, who's as a child, it seems he's had to flee his home country during war. And a quote when he's talking about his influence on brothers was that,
Oh, God.
a lot of things no child should have to, and that's clearly come through in what we're seeing now.
We're about to shoot this guy in the face.
Yep.
Experiencing a lot of things no child should have to.
Hold on. Okay, so let's cock it. Okay, ready? Ready?
No. I'm not. I'm really not.
I'm gonna hate myself for this.
You're not going to be able to do it.
Okay, yeah, okay, Jess. Get ready. Get ready.
Your guilt all lives on you then.
360 no scope.
That was the saddest.
Well, on the bright side, he was already dead.
There wasn't any actual killing so far, has there been?
Not on our
We
part.
haven't killed anyone yet.
Not on our part.
You did kill that one.
We dropped an ogre down a hole. Or
I
an
would
orc.
assume he died.
He kind of deserved it.
Why is this getting so gory?
It's a literal river of blood.
Like, they wouldn't even show puke earlier, and now...
We have rivers of blood.
I do want to give it high points because of all the other stuff they did. Like with the high fantasy world of it, they add in a lot of like Norse mythology as well.
The world tree?
Yeah, the world tree. It's basically just the Yggdrasil, which is a big part of Norse mythology for people who don't know. That just made me more interested in it. Although then again, I'm kind of biased because I just really like mythology, but it really made the world more interesting for me.
The game had its own mythology
Yeah,
in its world.
Like when a game goes to make a game world and then actually goes into depth into creating this world, that makes it more enjoyable for me. Just with any fiction in general.
This question is about representation of the other characters, so the third-party characters in the game. So we'll start with you, and I'd like to hear what you think about those characters and how they contribute to the story and to the plot.
About the non-main characters, I
Yes.
guess. There weren't very many.
Nope.
It was really just two brothers running around. And if you take out the creature-based characters, like 4chan, Instagram, and Twitter, that leaves Mom, Dad, and Spider-Girl. Dad has a disease for most of the game. Mom's dead. And that just leaves Spider-Girl as the only character you super interact with.
I keep trying, but nothing keeps happening.
He's very romantic.
Did I just flirt?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, love interest.
Andrew did that on purpose, and it's very frustrating. No, I need to take a second.
To flirt again? Effectively? Yeah.
Excuse me as I move my ankle seductively.
Are you mad?
I'm a little mad.
I actually went kind of back and forth, because at first she was a damsel, right? We saved her. Like, that wasn't so bad, because the damsel in distress is a trope of high fantasy, so that would have worked well in the game.
It perfectly fits with what the world of the game was.
Yeah. And then afterwards, when she was helping us out and really strong and intelligent, that was great too. It wasn't until she actually became the villain
That you became...
that it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
I hope it falls the right way.
Yeah, if it doesn't fall the right way or something, I'm gonna be so mad.
Timber.
It will. This game isn't that difficult in that it messes with you like that.
Yeah, I won't screw with you.
There we go.
Well, I guess
Is she gonna go first?
Yes,
Yeah,
she is.
look at her go!
Yeah, look at it.
She's
Oh! Damn, she's awesome.
She is way more competent than we are.
There were other ways to have done that. Like, we could have helped her save her family from a giant spider creature, whereas she does, like, fighting with us.
Yeah, that would
That would
be
have been
cool.
really cool. And at some point, the brother gets poisoned, right? Like,
Yes.
and then she has to run off with her family.
Because, like, they still have their own life to live.
Yeah! Like,
Turning the only strong female in the game into a villain you felt was just something that could have been better handled.
yeah, specifically making her a black widow that leads the guy, the older brother,
That
into...
lures him.
Yeah. Part of that's Andrew's fault. Because we wouldn't have known about the flirt unless you made us interact with him. But that's interesting that you could have missed that entire romance idea by just not interacting with her.
Oh my god!
It's a cutscene right now.
Ow!
The last half of the fight's just defensive,
I'm injured.
and they force you to.
But it's supposed to be like this. Oh, you're poisoned.
I am poisoned.
Bleed making deals.
Dad!
What?
Dad, what's going on? Don't you still have Disney sickness?
Looks like it.
He feels your pain.
He senses that his eldest is poisoned by
My
an evil
parents-
she-spider.
My parents' senses are tingling.
Let's just say the one competent female that wasn't sweeping or
Turned
playing
evil.
basketball.
Turned out to
is
be
evil.
an evil spider demon.
To talk about the other characters a little bit, I feel like because it was in gibberish, which did make it more universal but kind of made us lack background, I don't think I would have cared about them as much if we weren't recording.
Well,
Something I noted was I cared about the troll and Twitter way more because we named them.
They weren't engaging enough unto themselves.
That's true.
You
That
had to
is
create
true.
your own investment in
Like,
the characters.
that's true. That's very true. A feather?
Goodbye.
Oh! Oh no! Oh no! Ah!
That just got really sad. And
I'm really sad now. I thought I was gonna be happy for once. Well, God,
Oh, flashback to our ill father! Oh no!
Who has...
Remember fishing with griffin feathers?
He has Disney disease.
He has dizzy disease.
Disney, yeah.
Oh, Disney disease,
Disney
right?
disease, because, you know, he
He
has
pukes,
an illness.
but you don't see anything.
It's the motion of puking.
It's Disney disease.
I really like this story. It's so like...
This just got really sad.
So, this game is a single-player game that you guys had adapted to play on the same controller at the same time. Can you speak to how that physicality of holding one controller between two bodies, how that interacted and how that affected gameplay?
I have never played a game like that, ever. Like, I play games where you share the keyboard, but a keyboard's much longer, and there's a lot more options to, like, move around with people. Whereas on a single controller, it was a bit awkward at first, but we kind of just got into the groove of things, I think. We got used to it.
Playing this game as one person seems really hard. Like, I would not have the manual dexterity for that.
Is that just because there's a lot of individuality between the two characters controlled by the same
timing,
device?
like, you just have to have a split focus. That sounds really hard.
Yeah. Because, like, you go from one brother, and you're just like, okay, this side, and then, like, immediately, especially on the, like, rope swinging part, I can only imagine how difficult that would be with only one person.
But this isn't something that is in the game, like the sharing the controller. That was something we did. I think that the game would benefit from having a two-player mode.
Yeah.
It just in a way that we could use two controllers for comfort's sake. That way, Rob doesn't have to stretch his trigger finger each time.
It did get a bit annoying, like, just this especially, like, this kind of, like, position just got really sore after, like, probably an hour of playing. But the plus to it is because we were sharing a controller, or just because we were doing it in co-op as opposed to single player like the game I'm sure intended, we got to coordinate a lot, which really made the game, I mean, difficult at first, but as soon as we got into the swing of things, we were fine.
We were more like brothers.
Really quickly, I wanted to bring you in on this, Andrew, as our player who has played the game by himself. Do you guys, as a trio, want to discuss the differences between two people playing at once and one person playing? Were the controls easier? Were puzzles
Why don't you talk about it
better to
as one
handle?
person?
I've also played the game with two people after I'd played it with one person, where I played the older brother. And when playing it, there are parts where it's harder to coordinate. There were some puzzles that were easier. For example, the rope puzzle, where you swing across, is easier because you kind of get into a rhythm.
And you said the puzzle where we had to walk over a gap with the rope between us was harder as a one person too.
When we were in the castle and
Yeah.
the rope is tied around both of you and the castle is falling down while you're walking around it, that takes a bit more time as one person because you have to kind of orientate yourself with one person and then the other, because you'll have to go around tight corners and you can't go too far else you'll fall down, and so you have to work as two people as one person, and that it gets confusing at points.
Spooky.
Oh no, we're separated. There is a gulf between us.
Brothers.
Oh, no, I can't go.
Can I jump? Nope.
Give me a sec.
Oh my god.
We have to, like,
Okay,
be careful. Oh,
okay, you can jump that.
no, we have to...
No, you can jump that. Jump it.
Is that part of this game?
Yeah, you can jump.
I can't jump over there.
You trigger it.
No, this puzzle is just staying, like... Up. Oh, careful, don't fall off.
Oh, seriously? You can't...
I can't jump over it.
Alright, whatever.
This puzzle is about keeping the right amount of distance between us.
Without falling.
There we go.
Now we're on the
Now you
same
come this
level.
way.
The puzzles in the game, how did you feel about them? Did you feel like they interrupted the flow of the story and the plot, or do you feel that they were woven in?
Personally, I didn't find them that bad, but that's mostly just because of, like, other games, like other platformers that I played in the past, like Legend of Zelda and other stuff that implement puzzles into the game. Like, these were really simple, and the other thing is about, like, as the puzzles progressed, they didn't really get that much more difficult. because the puzzles weren't the main focus.
Or the puzzles were easier to maneuver because there were two of us.
Yeah, like because we were able to coordinate.
Well, and I think where I didn't see the answers to a puzzle, Rob would see the answer to that one, or if he missed it, I would be like, oh, this is how we have to do it.
Yeah.
Two brains being better than one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how...
And some of the puzzles were repeated, but I think that was important for the final puzzle.
So in terms of gameplay and, a smooth, continuous stream of playing and interacting in the world, did you feel... what are your thoughts on the flow? Was it choppy? Did the game start and stop? Were the puzzles big interruptions in the middle of running around, or...?
No, they went nice. I want to commend the game makers in integrating the puzzles in a really interesting way. I do think at some points the gameplay got interrupted by me not noticing cutscenes ending.
So it was almost too smooth.
It was responsible for us dying twice.
Yeah, but what if they were curse or something?
Oh, they could very... Why were they trying to break into the city?
They weren't trying to break... This thing broke it.
There was a bunch of arms.
Yeah, there was
trying to
army
break into the
people.
city with the catapult. Oh boy!
All right.
So it's pretty big.
You think?
It might be quite large.
It's still a cutscene.
You can see its texture.
Ow.
It's still a cutscene.
It's turning into snow.
No, you guys died.
What?
Yeah. You gotta run now.
Straight up dead. Oh, you gotta outrun him.
Well, yeah, but it never tells us. That is a gameplay issue
Yeah,
that
there's
I'm
no
having.
tutorials or anything.
There's no showing the difference between when it's a cutscene and when it's not.
It's quite seamlessly cutscene and game.
It gets the widescreen.
Maybe.
Begin.
I'm running.
Stick dodges.
Widescreen's coming.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it does.
It's very, very subtle.
And there's no countable lives either. It's just
Unless you're me.
Unless you're counting.
the thing is, this game doesn't have any tutorials or anything, so it takes a lot of trial and errors. But that's not really anything that the choppiness. That's just trying something again and again until you get it.
So right now we're still okay. Nope, go your way. Your way. Your way.
Whoa!
Straight. Okay, I get it.
Okay, now we got that.
Through that wall. Your way.
Norway? I thought we were in Sweden.
Stop it. How do we go your way again?
Just wait for this. Now go my way. This is so cool.
Okay, straight.
What?
What?
You didn't hit anything! Bollocks!
You guys want to discuss the technical elements of the game? Graphics, sound?
The graphics,
Okay.
really pretty. It was just such a joy to look at. The developers really took that into mind when they were making the game because, especially with the benches, they gave you the moment to just look at how pretty of a landscape they created, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I wanted to speak to, specifically with the graphics, how they weren't photorealism. Something we see later when you guys played Ethan Carter is that those were so realistic that it felt you were in a world. These ones, on purpose, this graphic style made it look like an animation.
Denoted fantasy, yeah.
Yeah, it was a cartoon almost.
Almost storybook-like.
Yeah, specifically when we looked at Rob's hair and how it was very anime-esque and had the gradients. No one's hair actually looks like that.
Yeah.
But I like the attention the developers gave to making it have its own style.
So, did you guys want to discuss how engaging you felt the game was? You already touched on the death mechanic, and that is something that in lots of games takes you out. When you die, it stops the flow and you get re-injected into it. How do you think that worked in this game, and how was the engaging nature?
The death mechanic was only important when it needed to be important.
Yeah.
Like, the way the game designer approached death in this game was that it didn't matter a lot of the time, but when it did matter, you were affected by it, right?
There was impact.
Yeah. The mother dying spurs the entire fear of water, and therefore that...
So, yeah, prescribed character deaths had held weight, and yet dying throughout the game yourself...
Didn't matter at all.
Well, it's because there was no penalty.
Mm-hmm.
And there were dead children in a forest hanging that we didn't even care about or find out anything about.
So even story-scripted death kind of took a back seat. That whole, if it doesn't affect me, I don't think about it kind of.
I mean, I don't see what... Oh, God. Please tell me you're not dead. Ah!
Can't have to roll the levels for that part.
Oh.
It may not be the time, but the textures on his arms with the veins are quite nice.
Yeah!
His dead body looks so convincing.
I'm sorry.
But I think about what they were trying to say about death, and I think...
The message might have been lost through that.
Yeah, because you can fail the puzzle and die, effectively, that took away something from when the deaths were supposed to be important. Like, the Giant's Graveyard battlefield.
Yeah.
That was all death, and we were shooting things into dead things, which disturbed me a lot. But when I died, I didn't even care. And then when I died at the end, I sort of laughed, but Rob was very affected. Maybe you want to talk about what it was like to bury me, because apparently that was...
Gee, oh boy.
What do you think the designer was trying to say by continuing the game past my death?
I think they were, like I said, with the coming-of-age story, it really hammered it in. Like, especially when you actually died and the brother had to bury him. Like, because he was walking so slow, like, he was actually, like, sulking and, like, just, like, really down, like, dragging him to this pit he just made, like, out of what he could.
Yeah.
You are very industrious people, aren't you?
No! Please, this is playable!
Yep.
No! Oh God!
Is that as fast as you can move?
Yep, this is as fast as I can go.
This is painful.
Jesus!
So dead.
I can't believe this is part of the gameplay, but I guess...
Yep, this is...
Because this is real right now. This is like actual how someone in this situation would react to that, and I could feel that.
But it was also a story about how life around death continues, and I think that might have been a theme the designer was trying to hint at, is that no matter how many times you die, you kind of have to keep going and
Life doesn't
continue.
stop.
Like, the game didn't end when I died.
Mhm.
It kept going for a really long time. And
solid 30 minutes.
the Giants dying were like, we were life around them that had gone on around theirs, and we don't know any of their story or anything. It's something about the mortality of humanity almost, in that we're gonna pass on eventually, and there's gonna be nothing.
And with the director's ties with war and having experienced war, you can really tell how that's interwoven into the message.
Having fled war-torn country as a young boy, 11, I believe. Don't quote me on that.
I think it was wrong.
The idea that life goes on past death is also really relatable to video games in specific, because video games, there is no permanent death, right? You can restart as many times as you want, and one of the most of the appeal of video games, I think, is that it makes you feel invincible.
Yeah.
right? You can keep doing things. It gives you something achievable in your life, and it helps you succeed. But this game, I was just removed from the game.
Yeah,
at the end. I didn't even get to play.
Yeah.
So I think that.
Well, part of that has to do with a self-generated mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would have still been playing, but
I think more games should do that.
that characters can just be removed.
Because then you don't feel as invincible, and it changes the video game genre almost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
Andrew, what did you think of that scene from like a single-person perspective?
So my first reaction, of course, was just kind of disbelieving. Just no, I don't. Are you going to kill this character off now? Is that what you're going to do? And then it happens, and then it's okay. So you've decided that this is what's happening in the game now, and that this character has now died, and the other character has to go on without him. And I found it effective. But I can see why playing a character who does get killed off, and then me having played that character later on, how it doesn't really affect you as much because you're kind of just taken out of the experience. But I do think it was an interesting concept, and even though we kind of made it up ourselves and it wasn't the intended way to play the game, I think that having that ability to do that should be at least encouraged.
Yeah.
I do agree with you in that more games should consider picking up this mechanic where a character you get to play and associate and adopt as your own is able to be removed entirely, because it's a very unique concept, like you say, demystifies that sense of immortality, that self-confidence, and it's just something that more storytellers could use to their benefit, possibly.
Yeah.
What was the experience overall that this game left you with? What did you take away from the game?
Like at the ending point?
At the end of the game, what did you leave with?
After the game was finished.
Kind of like with that ending cutscene, it's just kind of like a life goes on, and you have to kind of like deal with what it's given to you. Like at the end of the thing, we see that next to the original mother's gravestone, there's now the gravestone for the brother, and so the father and the brother are both there, and they're just looking at the grave. The father starts crying, but the little brother is just kind of like looking off into the distance. And it's just like really how, even though nothing is permanent, and you have to deal with what comes and goes. It was really kind of an impactful message.
The continuous tasks after death really kind of ingrained in you that sense that you don't get to stop, you have to keep going.
Yeah, and especially also coming over your own demons, because I wasn't able to swim the entire game, but then my brother is gone, and I have to swim, and playing the game by myself at that point and having to swim, it's like I don't know what to do right now. I don't know the controls for this. I don't know how to swim.
How did it feel having to use the other brother's controls to be able to swim?
It because I didn't play this as a single player game and I wasn't controlling the other brother at the same time, it was really a very impactful experience. This is really the only word I can have for it, because it's like actually being given all these responsibilities that I didn't have beforehand. And it really just made it it was hard to handle. It was really, really difficult.
Where previously you hadn't been able to use that section with the controllers because Jess was using it.
Yeah.
You were now
controller.
being prompted to use that, and you were forced to use it in order to finish the game. So you
it's like all my years of playing video games with a regular controller just went completely out the window because I had no idea what I was doing with my left hand.
Awesome.
So the last question that I think we need to touch on is your guys' opinion, where you think this game sits in the video game world and what it means for gaming culture and gamers alike.
You also?
Sure. Specifically, the death mechanic I think was really cool. The lack of language I think could be picked up by a lot more games because that was really interesting and universal. But I don't know. In the gaming world, I think this is a really good storytelling game. But I had a real problem with the females, so I don't want to
endorse this kind of representation necessarily?
Yeah, I think this game had a lot of really high points.
Yeah.
With it, especially its storytelling and the themes that it dealt with. But it could have used different body types. Like, specifically, I had a problem with all of the females sort of having the same body type.
They're kind of slender.
Yeah, whereas the guys were all varieties of people. Also, everyone was Caucasian.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it was Norse.
But there are people
but
with
it's a
different
high
races.
fantasy
That's
world.
true. That's true.
Right? High fantasy worlds can have
All sorts of
anything.
representation.
If you can have a troll, you can have a different colored
Person of
person.
color.
Yeah.
That's completely reasonable.
So I think it needs some diversity, especially if you're going to continue this kind of storytelling in video games specifically. But I loved the actual puzzle mechanics. That was great.
Yeah.
And it didn't have combat, so that makes it
Yeah.
happy for me.
I don't think this is the most revolutionary game that has like come out in recent years. Like there have been other games from other like companies that have come out that have really changed the gaming industry over the past couple of years. This isn't a game that's really going to change anything, but it is one that certainly leaves an impact for people who play it. People who play this game aren't going to forget it. It's like the way the controllers was designed was just such a really interesting mechanic that I've never seen anywhere else before, and I really hope that other games will
push the limit.
Push the limit as to what they can do with controls, like whether it's keyboard and switching it up a bit, or if it's a controller and like just finding a new way to use that controller, because the possibilities are more than just X is circle or whatever is on your controller. Also, what I'm glad is that this game just proves that a story-driven game can be really successful, because you didn't need the combat, you didn't need the most difficult puzzles in the world. What really matters is the story and how we interact through it.
Well, thank you very much. This was some great comments. We've been Game Theater reviewing Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.